We're live at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea taking on Swansea, the semi-final of the Capital One Cup first leg. Teams are in the tunnel. Dennis Wise and Chris Coleman sitting alongside me. Dennis, you've been there. What's it like, stood in that tunnel before you come out when you're so close to Wembley?
Yeah, look, it is very exciting. You know, you're one step away from it, and I think every player dreams of playing at Wembley and playing in a final. You know, and they'll want to go out there and they want to win. How they win, I don't think it matters to them. You know, at the end of the day, they want to get the result that they're looking for and get off to a good start. You know, they've got to go to Swansea, obviously, and it's important that they get off to a winning start and not concede, and they would like to obviously go out there and try and win by a couple of goals. It puts them in a better position.
Do you suspect, Chris, that there's any nerves from those Chelsea players?
I think there'll probably be less for the Chelsea players because they're used to playing in the pressure
calm,
situation. They do look very calm. You know, Swansea, look at Ben. He's only 19. It's a first for him, and it's a first for many of the Swansea City players. So the Chelsea boys will be able to handle the pressure of the situation probably better because they're used to playing in big occasions. And then, listen, Chelsea are full of international players, so they'll probably, I would imagine, settle into the game maybe a bit quicker than the Swansea City players.
OK, let's join our commentators for the first half. Alan Smith, and first of all, Rob Hawthorne.
Well, could it be that this year in the Capital One Cup it is the year of the underdog? Certainly Swansea in that position here as they come to face the European champions. Despite his 2-goal debut at Southampton, Demba Ba doesn't make a home debut in the starting lineup. Instead, Fernando Torres is recalled for the 100th game of his Chelsea career. The only other change from the weekend is forced upon Rafa Benitez, with Victor Moses now away with Nigeria, which means a return for Oscar. Ashley Cole captains the team at his first start in this competition in over 5 years. Hart may have ruled head for Michael Laudrup with his choice of goalkeeper Gerhard Tremmel, who's played throughout the cup run, ahead of regular #1 Michel Vorm. Elsewhere, the return of skipper Ashley Williams was to be expected after he was rested for the FA Cup draw with Arsenal, as was the comeback of Michu after the immediate effect he had as a substitute. Another incoming player, Pablo Hernandez, scored in the league draw with Chelsea in November. Demba Ba and Danny Graham will consider themselves unlucky to be on the respective benches after scoring at the weekend. Graham in particular, as he scored in Swansea's last 3 matches. So what about the matchup between the two Spanish strikers, Alan?
Yeah, I just wonder what he feels about the acquisition of Demba Ba. I think it should do him good. It should keep him on his toes, certainly, and make sure that he is sharp. He's got a bit of competition for that place now, and I think any striker, any player should welcome that. He's been scoring goals this season, 14 so far. You cannot knock that for all the problems he's had whilst being at Stamford Bridge, but this boy has hit the ground running, hasn't he, for Swansea, and he's important tonight for them because apart from his goals, he can hold it up as well. And when Swansea have to tuck in, when they have to defend, and they play the ball up to the centre forward, he's got to get hold of it to allow his teammates to support.
Strong Spanish essence to this game. Rafa Benitez, in his home country, built his reputation at Valencia. And his opposite number tonight, Michael Laudrup, of course, also had a couple of spells managing in Spain with Getafe, whom he took to a cup final, and more recently with Mallorca. But despite having a Welsh club in it, this is a very English occasion, with again the underdogs to the fore. The Bantams already well on their way to a Wembley final. Can the Swans glide in gracefully to join them? Certainly on the basis of the last 3 years, Swansea should feel encouraged because both finalists in those 3 finals got there having been away in the first leg of the semi. And Swansea may come here with a more practical approach to do a containing job, but an away goal could be crucial at the end of extra time in the second leg. So who knows what Michael Laudrup and his side have up their sleeve here.
That's what he was talking about, wasn't he, Michael Laudrup? The importance of trying to grab an away goal. In these two-legged ties, quite often it comes down to something like that. But it does change the dynamics, of course, it being a two-legged tie. They will be confident. They've got a good away record, Swansea. More than respectable in the Premier League. some big performances, big results away from home. Arsenal in the Premier League, Liverpool, of course, in the Capital One Cup. So they should be confident.
Leon Britton, former Arsenal and West Ham youth. Here's Ashley Williams, who was rested at the weekend for the draw with Arsenal, which has given Swansea the inconvenience of an extra game before the second leg, as they now have a replay next midweek. Back from David Luiz. Ross Turnbull, who had a loan spell at Cardiff, continuing in the Chelsea goal in the absence of Petr Cech. Turnbull has never faced Swansea, despite having played in that spell in South Wales before tonight. Oscar looking for the free kick and getting it out of Key.
Oscar's not had too many shouts under Rafa Benitez, and it's been very rare that he's played Oscar, Mata and Hazard in the same lineup. Only a couple of times. It's not the kind of system that he prefers, Benitez.
Mata's kick was off Britain, back to Gerhard Tremmel. Played every minute in the League Cup this season, the German goalkeeper. He's had quite a bit of Premier League football too, and Michel Vorm was absent through injury. It's Pablo Hernandez. Ben Davis, the young fullback, who's done well after the unfortunate injury to Neil Taylor. Now Gary Cahill.
Playing similar systems as well, identical really, 4-2-3-1. For Swansea, Hernandez has started on the right-hand side, Routledge on the left. Mata in the middle, behind Torres for Chelsea.
Headed back by Torres. Here is Juan Mata. Now Hazard. The Belgian has Ashley Cole out to his left and uses it. Hazard. Cleared by Angel Rangel, and then de Guzman. It's back from Ramirez to Gary Cahill, and everyone except Ross Turnbull now inside the half that Swansea defend. Ramirez. Azpilicueta. And Gary Cahill to Ivanovic. Here's Cole, another one of those like Frank Lampard, whose future beyond this season shrouded in uncertainty. Lampard was cheered to the rafters when his name was announced as being among the substitutes.
Benitez in the week trying to explain the Chelsea policy. It's not easy for him because probably he wouldn't make the same decisions, not necessarily anyway. You would imagine if it was up to him, he would want to keep the class and experience of the likes of Ashley Cole and Frank Lampard.
Here's de Guzman. De Guzman wins the free kick out of Anthony Taylor, tonight's match referee. Quickly taken by Pablo Hernandez, looking for Michu, who was offside anyway. And the referee just paused to see if any advantage would happen for Chelsea. Here's Cesar Azpilicueta, pursued down that side by Wayne Routledge. And here's Davis. Back from Britain.
That's where they will play along the ball under Michael Laudrup. Swansea don't always try the 10-yard pass in those dangerous areas.
This is Cole. Now Hazard. David Luiz. Ball through the middle for Torres. The flag did stay down.
He made a little move and David Luiz saw it. It's a clever attempt to the pass. So good to see him in the middle of the park. I think that's where his future should lie. Such a skillful player, dynamic player as well on the ball.
It's a position he does seem to have nailed down under Rafa Benitez. Here's Chico Flores. Put into touch by Leon Britton, who in his youth followed a similar path to Frank Lampard, went from West Ham to Swansea on loan, but whereas Lampard went back, Britton stayed in South Wales. Here's Ramirez. Mata. Now Oscar. Looking to get the better of Ben Davis. Put his cross away, but Ashley Williams behind that.
Not a bad cross. Defending fairly deep, Swansea, and I think there will be space for the likes of Oscar and Mata to get themselves on the ball. 30-40 yards from goal.
Mata's corner, Luiz fell a little behind him, back from Torres. The referee was in Eden Hazard's way a couple of times then. Torres. Cahill. Ivanovic in the middle with a header, was over the top.
An easy one, but that's twice now crosses have come in and they've both spelled danger. It's quite a difficult header for the defender, but there was a bit of holding between Key and Luiz. Key's taking a chance there without question. He's taking a chance.
He has played in all of the League Cup matches that Swansea have played this season, and they have of course played an extra one to their opponents, having joined the competition at the second round stage. Ramirez, now Hazard. And Cole on the overlap, wins the corner out of Chico.
Well, it's a dangerous avenue, a threatening one for Chelsea when Hazard and Ashley Cole bomb forward. He obviously gets the shout, the Belgian. Cole's on his bike.
Cahill has gone across to the far post for this corner, which defensively is occupied by Britton as Hazard takes the corner. And Luiz tries to keep it in.
He didn't want it there. Ben Davis did not want the ball there, tight to the touchline, men around him.
Well, they do like to play it out from the back. Statistically, they've got roughly the same passing accuracy statistics under Michael Laudrup that they managed under Brendan Rodgers. Here's Torres on the turn.
Quite a lively start from Chelsea. And the team doing all the attacking. It's a good flick from Eden Hazard.
Well, they haven't been short of goals in the Capital One Cup this season, Chelsea. They've scored 5 or more in each of their 3 ties. 6 without reply against Wolves. 5-4 they beat Manchester United. Managed another 5 at Leeds.
Yeah, I thought they were superb up at Ellen Road. They answered a lot of questions. It was an emphatic win. It was a filthy night. The rain was pouring down. Leeds were right at it, so was the crowd, and they really won it comfortably in the second half. Produced some marvellous football.
It was just after they'd come back from Japan as well, wasn't it, when they could have been jet-lagged. Ashley Williams annoyed at the lack of options he had then. Certainly expressing himself forcibly, the Welsh international.
Seen his team really settle yet, being able to pass the ball if they like to.
Ivanovic. Here's David Luiz. Now Cole. Back from Mata. Luiz again. Oscar making the move in from the right. Hazard, lovely move this. Ramirez! It was beautifully worked, deserved a goal from Chelsea.
Well, a sweet, sweet move. Eden Hazard again at the centre of things. It's a lovely first-time ball into Ramirez. He did have a chance, but he thinks that he's getting closed down, and he tries an extra touch, and then another one. By that time, the chance is gone.
Ramirez scored twice in the last win against Swansea, their last visit here. And they were beaten 4-1 in the Premier League last season, and Fernando Torres scored and was sent off. Swansea have actually conceded 10 goals in their last 2 visits to this ground. They have become experts at containing what they have to and breaking out and winning, as they managed at the Emirates in the league.
Yeah, they get the ball in these areas. You see Chelsea are squeezing a lot more than Swansea are. And that's making it difficult for the visitors really to find any space in those advanced areas.
Here's Chico. Waiting for options to make themselves available. Now Cole. Here's Ivanovic. Again, Oscar had come in from the right, guarded there by Williams. Here's Britton. Hernandez turning away from Cole.
He's up against a tough customer in Ashley Cole tonight. Hernandez, as well as he's done since arriving in England, and he has done well.
And they earned Swansea their point against Chelsea at the Liberty Stadium earlier in the season with a late equaliser. De Guzman offside.
It's a clever ball actually from Leon Britton, so he spotted his teammate who was a yard off, looking across the line. Should have done a little better.
Here's Cole. Ivanovic. Now Ramirez. This is Pablo Hernandez. Rangel. This is Key.
Really positive start from Chelsea, playing a lot of football, you can see, in Swansea's final third. They're looking very compact under Benitez.
Williams. Ashley Williams in with the header. Here's Ramirez. Nice touch from Britton to take it past David Luiz. Here's De Guzman. Now Rangel. Routledge wanted it played in early. Here's Hernandez. Trying to steer it beyond Ashley Cole, but there's Ivanovic to tidy up for Chelsea. Chico Flores straight at Ramirez. Now Cole. This is Azpilicueta. Cahill. Now Luiz. Ivanovic. Cahill trying to step up the tempo here. Ball in towards Torres, but cleared by Ashley Williams. Now Ivanovic. Ramirez. Now Mata. Ivanovic. This is Cole.
Some patient football by Chelsea. A lot of passes they've strung together here.
Ramirez trying to step it up and cut away through. Mata aiming one for Eden Hazard, but it's cleared by the head of Angel Rangel. Chelsea are going to have to be patient tonight. Swansea playing the long game over the two legs.
Set the stall out, as I mentioned, they are defending pretty deep and just asking the question, get an awful lot of bodies behind the ball. And whatever they can nick on the counter with the pace of Routledge and Anders supporting Michu, they'll gladly take. I think from Chelsea's point of view, they'd be well served to try and keep that tempo going. The Swansea do struggle sometimes up against a quick pace.
Usual 16-minute plus round of applause for Roberto Di Matteo. Routledge with the ball across. Safely taken in by Ross Turnbull. Here's Mata. Now Oscar neatly around Davis. He wasn't expecting the return necessarily. Oscar. Key there ahead of Ramirez. Cleared in the end by Leon Britton. This is Hernandez. He was hoping to mount a rare venture across the halfway line for Swansea. It is being played almost exclusively in their half, with Swansea just trying to limit the number of opportunities that Chelsea can manufacture.
I've got to say, they're doing it pretty well. It's a long time to adopt this policy, if that's the way it plays out for the entire match, but they are frustrating Chelsea as much as the ball as the home side are enjoying. Not able to work, tremble too much.
Williams. Cahill there, ahead of Wayne Routledge. And it is Swansea's first appearance in the semi-final of this competition. And it's not an opportunity they want to pass them by, especially in view of the fact that their great rivals Cardiff got to the final last year. There is a balance to be struck between what they achieve here and what they can safely manage back at the Liberty Stadium in a fortnight's time. Here's Rangel. Chico Flores. Kick went towards Azpilicueta, whose foot was raised there. Against Ben Davis. Britton. Good touch on towards Routledge, but Gary Cahill just there ahead of him.
I think that'll be the hope at times. They can get the ball wide to use the pace of Routledge and Hernandez.
Davis tried to help it back, but couldn't get the contact. Here's Williams. Now to Guzman. Here's Key. Routledge. Looking for the ball across to Hernandez, who tries to lose Ashley Cole. Luis. Here's Michu. Going for the target.
That's better from Swansea. Not often they've enjoyed controlled possession. 40 yards from Chelsea's goal, but they have last couple of minutes.
First attempt of any sort they have managed in the game so far. And it's mainly been played in this kind of area. Mata. Here's Luis. Cahill. Now Ivanovic.
No space for Torres to spin into. He's trying to, but there's very little room behind that Swansea back four.
Here's Mata. Ivanovic. Ramirez. Put through by Azar, but Williams there to meet it. Here's Cole. Azar. Not to be knocked off the ball easily. Mata's strike comes back off Ben Davis. Ratledge loses out. And Spilicueta has a go, but misses the target.
When you're playing against a packed defence, sometimes that's what it takes. The player to take the initiative and take on his play, which Eden Hazard did, and that started the move. He beat a player and they got themselves into a good area. Tremel always saw this one. Got his angle sorted.
Cesar Spilicueta playing his 20th game for Chelsea, yet to score for the club. Food for thought already for the interim Chelsea boss.
It's never an empty notepad, is it? For Benitez, no matter how the game's going.
Well, having seen what Azpilicueta did, Gary Cahill strode forward then with a determination to try his luck.
There is ground to run into because they are defending so deep, Swansea.
Ivanovic. Here's Cahill. Azpilicueta. Davis didn't quite keep it in. Here's Luis. Ivanovic. Mata trying to break free of Britain. Davis has to deal with it. Where that Oscar would have been behind him, turns it behind.
Yeah, we haven't seen many decent crosses coming in, and that was one of them from Juan Mata. Real beauty that had to be dealt with.
Maybe third time lucky on the corner count here for Chelsea. Cahill got up.
Well, they look threatening from those corners, Chelsea. He's always in and around it, Gary Cahill. Scored goals for club and country this season. Attacks the ball really well.
He scored in both of his appearances in the previous rounds of this competition this season, scored against Wolves and against Manchester United. Chelsea are the top scorers in the tournament with 16 goals. Looking for another one here. Mata! Never really put any power behind that.
He didn't, but again, Eden Hazard just grabbing it by the scruff of the neck and deciding to run at players. And that opens things up for Juan Mata. You'd expect him actually on that left foot to do a lot better than that. It's one of their better attempts, most clear-cut chances for Chelsea. The best chance, you'd say, this first half.
Treble, who hasn't been the first choice in the Premier League, but did play in the league meeting between these two sides. That was the first game that Vaughan missed because of the groin injury. Found Rangel from his clearance. Here's Cole. Now Ivanovic. Ramirez. Rangel in tight on Hazard. Here's to Guzman. Now Rangel once again. Away from Ivanovic, but not from David Luiz. Hazard meeting Turnbull's clearance. Britain. Now Ben Davis. This is Key. Trying to open it up for Routledge, who's subdued for now by Azpilicueta.
He's been in charge, the Chelsea right back. On a few occasions they have got the ball up that side, Swansea.
Pulled across by Davis for Michu. Ramirez. Michu again. Misplaced ball from de Guzman. Live action to come this week with the Johnston Spain Trophy Northern semi-final between Coventry and Preston, live on Sky Sports 1 HD tomorrow from 7:30. And Football League action on Friday with Wolves up against Blackburn Rovers, Sky Sports 1 HD from 7:30. Dean Saunders Wolves now. Well, Swansea will feel pleased at the containing job they've done, and as the half hour approaches,
I think they will. But he has looked to danger. If they can get the ball to him a little more against the packed defence, a man that can beat a player with his pace and trickery, can open doors. He has looked a threat.
First time Hazard started a League Cup tie. All of his previous appearances in the competition have been from the bench. Here's Mata. Hazard looking to get away from Angel Rangel. Ivanovic looking for Luiz, did well to get there ahead of Michu.
He has got really quick feet. David Luiz comes in handy in those situations.
Lovely flick from Oscar. Mata looking to break through here. Beyond the far post.
Fernando Torres not too far away, but he was going for goal, I think. An inspired little flick from Oscar. He's had one with his left and now his right. Mata. Each time just missing out.
Lovely touch from Oscar. Chelsea certainly carrying the greater threat. Hernandez trying to play through to Michu, who is one of those players who can look out of the game and then suddenly explode into life with devastating consequences. Routledge finding Ben Davis. Davis put Williams into trouble there, and there could be even bigger problems. Torres in behind Williams, and Mata will try and get there first, but Tremmel does.
Oh, so close, weren't they? I think it might have got a nick off the defender when Torres was trying to find Mata. He's taken a knock as well for his troubles.
Slipped through here towards Michu, he was offside anyway. And as it happened, Gary Cahill got there ahead of him. Torres. Cleared by Key. Here's de Guzman. Routledge. Got himself into difficulties against David Luiz.
Yeah, he read that brilliantly, Luiz.
Luiz looking to pick out a pass here, and he has. Oh, really unlucky. Great vision again from David Luiz. So he couldn't make the most of it, as it turned out.
No, he drifted in between two players, and there wasn't too much to aim at for Luiz, but he did it brilliantly. Very nearly brought it down, Oscar.
Here's Ramirez. Ivanovic. Cole. And again, Ashley Cole has got in, but he can't slide it across.
Well, they got themselves in a tangle, Swansea, with the backwards ball from Ben Davis. Nothing too much on in front of him. Torres has seen Mata early on, and he does get a little nick off the defender, and that makes all the difference because it diverts the ball towards the keeper. Beautiful ball that was. And he was in a good position, Oscar, to bring that down. It's a poor touch from him.
Brazilians almost combining to good effect for Chelsea. Touch back from David Luiz to Cahill. Here's Ivanovic. Mata. Ashley Cole. Aspilicueta. Here's Ramirez, given away cheaply to Routledge. De Guzman. Back from Hernandez. Here's Rangel.
Haven't passed the ball as well as they might, Swansea, in this first half, but you've got to give good credit, great credit to Chelsea for that. They're a much better team without the ball these days. Under Benitez, much more difficult to break down.
Rangel. Ramirez. Key, now Britain. This is Davis. key. This is Chico. Ivanovic having to hold off Pablo Hernandez. He felt he was held off a little unfairly then.
His touch wasn't quite right there. The Spaniards. It's been the case a few times. The Swansea players going forward.
Here's Azpilicueta. Now Oscar. Maybe to get the better of the youngster Davis. And he has. Cleared by Williams. Ramirez. Cleared again by Williams. Now Mata. Luiz.
Knocking on the door. Getting closer and closer, Chelsea. But Swansea preserving that clean sheet. It's been a frustration.
Well, perseverance will be the order of the day here for Chelsea. Here's Mata, who's had a few sights of goal himself. Ramirez had one after a particularly well-crafted move. I felt he should have had a free kick then, but he's not getting one.
Seemed to get his boot there first when Chico came in. The challenge. He did.
Around Stamford Bridge for the sight of Frank Lampard warming up. Lampard actually scored his first senior goal for Swansea. A loan spell there 17 years ago when he was only 17 years old. Poor touch that from Ivanovic. De Guzman could be in. Michu! And Chelsea pay a really heavy price for the mistake. The last person you want to give an opportunity like that to is this man, Michu.
Well, he's taken his eye off the ball, Ivanovic. He's looking what he was going to do next, rather than concentrating on the first touch. Having a little glance around, who's by me? Just doesn't get the touch right. De Guzman's on like a flash. And Michu, you said it earlier, Rob. He can be out of the game for large parts, but give him a sniff, and the chances are he'll take it. This was clinical on his left side. That was deadly. It really was from the Spaniard. A brilliant finish. It's fed on scraps. Less than that this first half. What a shocker for Chelsea.
What a signing he has been for Michael Laudrup. In this day and age, can he only have cost £2 million? Michu, goal number 16 of the season, his second in this competition. He scored at Crawley in August, but what a big goal that could be in the context of this semi-final, where again it's the underdogs making waves. Chelsea, I'm sure, can barely believe it. They've had all the pressure, all the decent chances as well in this first half, and yet such is football, they find themselves a goal down.
It was not of their own making, was it? It was clearly a mistake from Ivanovic, but they were onto it very quickly. De Guzman in particular closed down Ivanovic very quickly.
Here's Torres. Ivanovic. Luiz. On by Mata. De Guzman. Michu going into challenge with Gary Cahill. Shows the need for the footwork to De Guzman, then Hernandez is there.
Oh, it's amazing, isn't it? We were sat here wondering when Chelsea's first goal was going to come in this first half. Could never have envisaged what we've seen. Lovely feet from the centre half. Michael Laudrup's got his away goal that he was talking about this week.
Trying to show his strength there against Hernandez, who takes an instant reprisal and has got himself into bother because of it.
Yeah, he got sucked in there. But naivety really from Hernandez. David Luiz, the peacemaker. He had a couple of nibbles before the foul. Mess around with somebody like Oscar because he's so clever. He knows exactly where you are, and he's want to move the ball away just as the challenge comes. That's so clumsy. That's a really poor one.
Oscar had shown his strength against Hernandez. But the way he took action into his own hands then was beyond the pale, hence the booking. Here's Luiz. Ivanovic. Branislav Ivanovic goes for goal, looking to make up for the mistake that led to Swansea's.
One of their better shots from distance in this first half, Chelsea's.
Mata with a corner and towards Fernando Torres. Chelsea fans behind that goal thinking they should have had another corner.
It was a really good effort from Ivanovic. Struck with a lot of power. It's a top-class save from Tremble.
He's had a bit of goal-scoring form lately, the Serbian Player of the Year. He scored 3 in his last 6 matches. Probably won't mind too much what the source of a Chelsea goal is, as long as they get one, so that his error that led to Michu's goal is forgotten about. Michael Laudrup nearly took it full in the face from his own player there as Rangel cleared.
I don't think the game plan has worked perfectly. Bodies behind the ball, defending deep and trying to nick something up the other end.
Oscar. It's loose as it's come to Ramirez. Williams stops him. Azpilicueta on the follow-up. Strikes it wide.
Ramirez takes one here on the follow-through. Ashley Williams right down the thigh.
Strong lad though, Ramirez, not making too much fuss about it.
Which is always good to see. Everyone is of the same mind.
Final minute of a half that has worked a dream for Swansea. He soaked it up, and now Ramirez has slipped, but he was held down by Key, hence the free kick. Here's David Luiz. Now Mata. Here's Ivanovic. Just the one added minute for Chelsea to get themselves level before half-time. A real sense of urgency, and Ivanovic has at least won a free kick, which gives Chelsea one last chance to strike before the break.
Yeah, they get away with that because the ball went into Hazard and he gave it away. David Luiz has been known to have a go from these distances, Rob, but he's walked away.
Scored spectacularly here, didn't he, in the 8-0 win over Villa recently from a free kick. It's left to Juan Mata to sort this one out. And Luiz instead goes round the back. Here's Cole. Now Mata. And it is a first half in which the outsiders are doing it again. Michu with his 16th goal of the season, making the most of a slip from Branislav Ivanovic, and Chelsea, having had the majority of the pressure and the attacks in that first half, somehow at half-time find themselves a goal behind. Chelsea 0, Swansea 1. Centenary season this could be for Swansea City. Swansea have gone from being a town to a city since their last appearance in the semi-final of one of English football's major cup competitions. 1964 was the year they lost to Preston in the last 4 of the FA Cup. It was also the year in which their manager Michael Laudrup was born. But a quarter of the way through this semi-final tie against Chelsea, pointing in the direction of an historic achievement in getting to the final of the League Cup.
Well, you have to say, I mean, an awful lot can happen in this two-legged tie, but you have to say it's been an inspired choice by the Swansea board to appoint Michael Laudrup. He was out of work for nearly a year, but they saw something in him, and they were proved right.
They've done well with their appointing of managers right from the time when Kenny Jackett started the revolution. Chelsea looking for an equaliser offside here, though, against Fernando Torres.
I think Ben Davies, the left back, was the furthest back off the line, but it wasn't enough even to keep Torres on. I don't think Swansea's attitude is going to change an awful lot in the second half. They're going to try and defend what they've got now.
Well, 6 years ago, Swansea were in League One alongside Bradford City. It's only 8 years ago that Swansea themselves were a League Two team. Here's Azpilicueta. Now Gary Cahill. Ivanovic, whose poor touch ended up costing Chelsea the goal they've conceded here to Michu. Torres, control for Ashley Cole. Torres. And Chico Flores got in tight to him then, pays the price with a yellow card.
But he does tend to commit himself, Chico. It was good feet from Torres to just skate around the centre half. What he was doing now, I think.
Second Spaniard booked after Hernandez in the first half.
Well, it's wide, but maybe a shot on goal. David Luiz this time deciding he might want a piece of this. He's got a great technique from these free kicks. Able to keep a flat flight of ball quite often.
Scored 2 goals in the last 3 here, 1 a penalty, 1 a free kick. Despite the angle, he seems to fancy this. Luiz.
The contact's got to be absolutely perfect for that ball to stay on a flat line. A bit like the way Didier Drogba used to take them with a side foot.
A bit like the one that he dipped so effectively here against Villa. Here's Torres. Well, there's going to be another night of frustration for Fernando Torres.
Well, they have got a replacement now, of course, if it should pan out that way, Demba Ba.
You wonder if Rafa Benitez thinking in preferring Torres tonight is to keep Ba's powder dry for a match against Stoke at the weekend. Ba, who didn't join Stoke because of their concerns over his knee, or a supposed knee problem, and has haunted them since. Here's Cole. Now Luiz.
I think it's really important when you're playing against a team like this, when Swansea are just content to sit there and get men behind the ball. You've got to keep the tempo up, keep that ball moving across the pitch, 1-2 touch.
Here's Ashley Cole. Tremble has been an effective last line of defence when called upon. Williams in front of him has got through quite an amount of work to cut off the danger at source. Britton. De Guzman trying to leave it behind for Pablo Hernandez. Broken up though by David Luiz, who looks for Oscar, who lets it run. Azpilicueta came back off key.
It's a poor ball in from Azpilicueta. Plenty of time.
Here's Azpilicueta. Chico Flores. Now Luiz. Hazard. Looking for goal. A deflection on its way through. It cannot matter.
And Chelsea having a lot of the ball, but Swansea won't be too disappointed with the way they've started this second half. Nice and compact again. Credit for keeping Tremble in. He's picked his strongest side, really. Outfield, but Tremble's played right through this competition, and we saw no need to change it.
Chelsea 4 times winners of the League Cup, and they beat Swansea 3-2 here en route to their first win. Victory for Tommy Docherty's side in the 4th round, which before this season was as far as Swansea had ever gone in the League Cup. Mata. Moved on by Hazard. Luiz looking for the instant return. And Swansea had enough bodies back to cope. Here's Ramirez. Now Ivanovic. Knocked out of his stride first by De Guzman. He looks to spread it now to Wayne Routledge. Cross home towards Michu, goes for the spectacular.
Say that again. But the form he's been in this season, you would have been surprised to see him get it on target, because just simply hitting the target is really difficult with this kind of technique from that kind of angle. But it has been that kind of season for him.
The worry for Swansea must be that he's continuing to make headlines in this month of all months when the transfer window's open. Here's Luis. Cahill. Azpilicueta. Luis. Mata. Now Ivanovic. Again headed clear by Ashley Williams, who's done a lot of that tonight for Swansea. Rangel. Fernandez looking for de Guzman. Hazard. Now Luis. Here's Ivanovic. Luis being held up literally by de Guzman.
He's such an impressive player, David Luiz, in the middle of the park. Love to watch him. He's had another good game out here tonight. Saw him up at Everton, and that was a real test for him, but he met that challenge. This is nearly 40 yards out.
More central for him though this time. Tremel beware with the past form of David Luiz, even at this kind of range.
Look, the full 10 yards that wall, but the ref presumably has made sure it is.
Luiz! Oh, he got it through the wall, but not on target.
A much better connection this time. He did keep it flat, even though he's a long way out. It's not the best of walls, turning the back. The Guzman in there, I think it was, but it's a yard wide.
Here's Oscar. Luiz warned of the arrival of Michu, but Spaniards still managed to nick it away from him. Mata. Here's Oscar. Now Torres. The ball in early, cleared by Chico, but straight to Oscar. Struck into the face of Leon Britton. Now Torres.
We've got 4 in there to aim at, just a little too close to the keeper.
Here's Cole. Now David Luiz. Ramirez. Hazard. Mata. Hazard. Luiz! Thumping drive from him, but Tremel equal to it.
Well, it was just fortunate for Tremel that it did come on his side. Otherwise, he'd have been beaten. Even so, really good stop, and the fact he managed to cling on to it was important too. Another chance goes begging for Chelsea. Another good chance.
Here's Ivanovic. Hazard. Luiz. Cleared again by Williams.
Well, you could argue that they haven't been as clinical as they might have been, Chelsea, with their attempts. 4 out of 15 on target for them.
Here's Cahill. Swansea keeping a high line. Oscar forced look back to Ramirez. And he's lost out to Key. And Michu has to try and time his run.
Oh, space behind there for Michu.
Key.
I thought it would continue in a similar pattern. If anything, Chelsea have seen more the ball than they did first half. Swansea standing strong.
No let up in this Chelsea domination, but it's not changing the outlook as far as they're concerned here. Michael Laudrup's side keeping their discipline here, and when the back line is breached, Tremmel more than up to the task at the moment.
And a little glance at his substitutes warming up. Maybe not quite at that time yet, but I think it will come. Make sure he keeps his team fresh.
Here's Juan Mata.
You need a lot of energy to defend the way that they are. There's a lot of chasing involved. Concentration too.
Azpilicueta links up well with David Luiz. Can't work it across. Chelsea win the corner.
They get themselves a corner, but it could have been so much more threatening this for Chelsea. Could have managed to get a ball.
The goalkeeper got a hand to that, and he needed to. Ivanovic's eyes were just lighting up at the possibility then of atoning for his earlier mistake. He stayed forward, has Ivanovic, but that ball from Ramirez beyond him. And unfortunately, we have an incident here where an unwanted intruder has stepped onto the pitch for reasons best known only to himself.
So he won't be unhappy with the part that he's played. Gerhard Tremmel. Some really good stops. Well, the substitute is coming.
Looks like Tiendali, the fullback who has been playing ahead of Angel Rangel sometimes in recent matches, is the player that Michael Laudrup has decided to send on here. And it's Wayne Routledge who is going to be taken off. Routledge, who had a fairly nomadic football career early on, but seems really settled at Swansea now. Making way for Tiendali, who was brought in originally because of the injury problem for Neil Taylor, but couldn't force his way in at left-back, where Ben Davies has been so consistent. Tiendali now explaining what's expected of those around him, and De Guzman seems a little bemused at the moment, but Rangel seems to be going further forward.
Yeah, I think there's specific instructions for De Guzman in the middle of the park there. Juan Mata is threatening to see more and more the ball. Those pockets of space that he tends to find.
Here's Ramirez. Now Oscar. One back by Davis. Nice flick from Hernandez. He wins the free kick. Mata. Here's Cole. Hazard. Mata. Trying to drift it in towards Torres. Ramirez. Have to be careful there against Michu, who just caught him.
Well, Michu doing his best to stop things at source. Well, just given Ramirez a dead leg there.
More applause for Frank Lampard, but so far Rafa Benitez showing no sign of bowing to what would be the popular decision and bringing him on.
It's like a farewell tour, isn't it, with Frank? Every game he plays now until the end of the season, he's going to get applauded to the skies.
Also got that Bobby Tambling goal-scoring record to aim for in what remains of his Chelsea career.
How does he need?
Well, he's on 193. The record is 202, so 10 to overtake it.
Possible. If he plays the games.
Here's Luiz. Header clear by Williams. Michu. Now to Guzman. Tiendale. There's Rangel. Fernandes coming towards it, but Ramirez got there first. And here's Mata trying to unleash Eden Hazard. Rangel got back across, and the referee thought it was a perfectly fair challenge.
He made sure he got himself in the path of the Hazard run. The Belgian's touch was just what he wanted to get himself going. He was never going to beat him in a straight race, was he? You have to feel that's a foul. He's not playing the ball, he's playing the man.
Here's Cahill. Torres. Azpilicueta. He's claiming that touched the hand of Ben Davies, but again he's not finding a sympathetic ear. Not from the men who count anyway. Cahill again goes to the back post. Torres occupies a position in the 6-yard box under the watchful eye of Davies as the corner's flung in. Cleared only as far as Oscar. Azpilicueta loses out. Ramirez, not really a clean strike from him. And Ashley Cole covering against the possibility of a Michu break. And it's all been in one direction. And yet Swansea still lead here thanks to that first half Michu goal. Cole. Actually, at the moment, maybe the introduction of Demba Ba would be slightly more popular here than the introduction of Frank Lampard.
He's not warming up, is he, Demba Ba?
Davies pulls Hazard out of the way.
Trying to get himself around the front, the left back. He did have hold of the winger. This is a nice angle to swing one in. Mata's left foot.
Three-quarters of the way through the first leg. Chelsea, despite all their pressure, still trailing to Michu's goal. Mata looking to conjure an opening, but that's really disappointing from a player of his usual standard.
Yeah, it is. He got the height and the angle wrong a bit, I thought. Maybe to swing it a little bit more towards that far post. Try and get bodies across the fly.
It's unlike Mata, who's been one of the better players in the Premier League this season.
That's been superb. So consistent as well.
Well, Swansea can ill afford for their goalkeeper to give it away as cheaply as that. Well, could Frank Lampard's introduction be imminent? Has a habit of coming up with the goods when they need him to, and they certainly need him to now. Here's Azpilicueta. Ramirez. Mata. Oscar's cross cut out by Pablo Hernandez. Mata. Here's Luiz. Azpilicueta pulls it back for Ramirez. Ivanovic moved on to Gary Cahill. Now Luiz. Again, the familiar pattern. Plenty of Chelsea possession. Ball to the edge of the box, cleared by Williams.
Need better balls in than that, but they are defending the edge of the 18-yard area exceptionally well, Swansea. This is what the crowd wanted.
A much heralded introduction that certainly lifts the mood at Stamford Bridge. Ramirez the man to go off. And on the latest step of this farewell tour, can the man they call Super Frank deliver the goods again, as he has so often in the past? The man who came up with the goals that delivered their first Premier League title. He scored big goals on the domestic and the European stage. Can he aid Chelsea's hunt for a trophy here? Involved from the off. And Lampard looking to pick out a ball to Mata, but again met by Ashley Williams. Azar. David Luiz. Lampard looking to turn, turns into Williams. Michu away. Azpilicueta wins it back, only for Williams to clear once more. And Michu claiming a push and getting the verdict.
Oh, I saw this little shove coming. Michu just make sure he gets his body in between man and ball. It's an easy free kick for Swansea. I'll take the time here. Second half, not too many times they've had the ball in this kind of area, but two centre-backs are up.
A sign of positive intent from Michael Laudrup, who sent Chico Flores and Ashley Williams forward for this free kick, which de Guzman will take. In towards Michu. Enough bodies there for Chelsea for now. Williams trying to get underneath it. Luiz away. Cleared by Azpilicueta. Loose off Azar. Chico Flores. Azar coming back at him, but conceding another free kick.
Nice little spell for Swansea. Bit of respite for the defence, or for the team as a whole. In defending.
Williams again makes the move forward. Flores is still up there anyway. Guzman takes, and I think Williams was surprised that it got as far as in.
He wanted to release it early, Turnbull, but nobody was up there.
Here's Lampard. Azpilicueta. Hazard looking to turn. Here's Mata. Torres with a flicked header. Comes to nothing. De Guzman. Offside flag up against Angel Rangel.
His initial run was a good one. He managed to stay on side. The ball didn't come.
Mata. David Luiz. Here's Cole. Luis. Lampard. Ivanovic. Back from Hazard to Mata. And beyond the stretching Branislav Ivanovic.
Well, it's so tight, isn't there? So many bodies in there. I don't think Chelsea have used the flanks well enough tonight. When you are fighting against a team that's congested in the middle, that's defending the width of that 18-yard area, got to try and get down the sides. And Chelsea quite naturally go through the middle. If the full-backs aren't operating, they do sometimes struggle for width.
Well, Queen's Park Rangers will be hoping that their win here was just the start of their revival as they take on Harry Redknapp's old team Tottenham live this Saturday, midday, Sky Sports 2 HD. 1-0 was enough for Queen's Park Rangers thanks to Sean Wright-Phillips here. Will Michu's goal be enough to earn Swansea a victory to take back to the Liberty Stadium for the second leg? The referee's given a free kick when Chelsea might have asked the question about whether there was an advantage. Swansea able to set themselves for the free kick as Oscar now looks for a way through, and Trammell looked a little uncertain with that.
Well, there's enough to do the job. It's a better ball from Oscar that time.
Etienne Darley won it well, and he's got it back here from Rangel. Here's de Guzman, Michu ahead of him, but this is Hernandez. Now Key. And he's offside, Michu.
A gap had opened up for Key that he was only too happy to fill. Easy call for the assistant.
Free kick not taken from the position indicated by Andy Halliday. Here's Mata. Chico Flores taking an unfortunate tumble. He's off the pitch anyway, so it won't affect the game.
Ashley Cole seemed to have a little nibble there. I don't know if he's tripped him and caught his ankle. They are hard, those boardings, electronic boardings.
He's now back on, Chico Flores. And they need him out there. A big defensive job to be done here by Swansea City to see this through. Looked as though a draw would be a good result for them here, particularly the way the game started and has continued since. But they've made the most of their good fortune from Ivanovic's mistake to get the goal through Michu, and they are hanging on here. Crowd have seen Demba Ba running along the touchline, so maybe his introduction not too far away. Williams. Here's Davis. He is going to come on. With Torres or instead of?
Well, he's a different sort of player. He gives them a different option, a welcome one.
Well, another mistake by a Chelsea player, David Luiz this time, playing a casual ball that Michu broke up. De Guzman. Luiz gets away with that one. Will Mata get away with that? Well, Britain felt he'd been eased out of the way then by Luiz, but Swansea have it anyway with Davis. Williams under pressure from Torres. Does deal with it. Here's Britain. Chico. Now to Guzman. Cahill. Azpilicueta. Ivanovic. Lampard. Cahill. Oscar. Pulled across by Azpilicueta.
How many times have we seen that? Final ball from the wide area hasn't been right, but you've got to admire the defensive result of this Swansea side. They've restricted Chelsea to much less efforts on goal than in the first half. He's been right in amongst it. That organiser.
Here's Ivanovic. Hazard. So here comes the change, and it is instead of Fernando Torres that Demba Ba comes on for his home debut for Chelsea.
He's only got 10 minutes, but they can load it into the box a little more frequently now. He's got an extra bit of physical presence.
Not Torres' night, but after the two he scored on his last appearance for Newcastle, the two he scored in his first appearance. Oh, could be another chance here. No, he's offside. Rangel was the player. Ba got two on his last appearance for Newcastle against Arsenal, and two on his first appearance at Southampton for Chelsea.
He's unlucky, desperately unlucky. Rangel. It's a good ball from Michu.
Cole. Luis. Here's Ivanovic. And Lampard strikes.
That's what he's on for. It's been really difficult to get behind Swansea because they've been defending so stoutly and so deeply. There's no better shooter of the ball, striker of the ball from those kind of distances than Frank Lampard.
Tiendali did well to keep that in for Rangel, but in the end it was just too tight for Swansea to operate in that area, and Chelsea can build again. Hazard to Mata. Michu though robs him, looks to get away, and the idea was to set Michu away. More changes being made. Marco Marin coming on for Oscar for Chelsea. And Swansea are also going to make a substitution, taking off their goal scorer Michu and bringing on Danny Graham, who has scored for Swansea in his last 3 games.
He has got through an awful lot of work up there. He's been on his own for the most part, but he was in just the right spot, and what a finish this is. Digs it out from under his feet, and not much of the goal to aim at, but what a take.
He's become an instant hero, Michu. Danny Graham, who always works hard, apparently attracting plenty of interest with the transfer window open. The likes of Queen's Park Rangers, Reading, Sunderland, all linked with him. To prize him away though if there's a cup final appearance on the horizon.
You certainly want to keep hold of him if you possibly can.
There's Lampard. There's Azpilicueta. Lampard again. Ivanovic, casual. Lampard, Marin. Luiz. Ivanovic. Here's Lampard. Luiz lining one up.
Well, it's just frustration getting the better of him there. It's been that kind of second half, really. They had the chances first, the better chances first half, Chelsea. Tremors pulled off a couple of good staves after the break, but a good portion of those first half.
All of the statistics except the most important one overwhelmingly in Chelsea's favour. Here's Lampard. Cole. Pushing the back of Hazard. Lampard was available for the quick free kick, but wasn't played in his direction. Here's Ivanovic. Looking for Demba Ba.
Well, that's what he gives you. That option to float one in. Not often Ashley Williams has been beaten in that manner this match, but Ba gets a run on the centre half.
All fouled. Rangel, though, suffering. And that will help to give Swansea a bit of breathing space. Chelsea have been on both ends of late equalisers in their last two matches against Swansea. They conceded one there in November to Pablo Hernandez, scored one at Swansea last January, a deflected effort in off Neil Taylor for an own goal. Is there to be late drama here, and a third 1-1 draw in a row between these two sides? Marin with a cross, Barnes there with another header!
They haven't done this often enough when they have got the ball out wide. Got the ball into good areas. So often the first man has cleared it for Swansea. Not that time. Second header in a matter of seconds for Demba Ba. Not easy, he's under pressure.
Ba did score a goal in his West Ham home debut against Liverpool. And he scored against Swansea already this season, late on what turned out to be just a consolation goal for Newcastle in their defeat. Here's Luiz. Ba's had as many attempts in 6 minutes as Fernando Torres managed in 80. Off the hand of Aspilicueta, not seen if it was. Here's Ivanovic. Lampard. Cole's cross, cleared by Davis. Lampard looking to force it through, and Chico Flores clears the lines again for Swansea. But the pressure building all the time as Chelsea look to avoid a second consecutive 1-0 home defeat. Haven't been beaten in consecutive home games in 14 months, Chelsea. Pablo Hernandez getting it through, and misunderstanding maybe between Rangel and de Guzman.
That goes without saying, it'll be a tremendous result for Swansea if they do pull it off. But there is an awful lot of football to be played in this tie before the winners are decided.
Here's Azar. Header away by Hernandez. Azpilicueta.
Fans by us, we've seen enough filing out the ground. Scored so many goals over the last few weeks, but as you said, Rob, lost to QPR here and no goals so far here again.
They've scored 5 goals or more in 6 different games this season, Chelsea, and they might get one here. Bar could be in. They're ahead of the goalkeeper who caught him. Did he? No. The referee is going to book Demba Ba for a dive here. A yellow card on his home debut for Ba.
You've got to assume he had a good look at this, the ref. It's a mistake from Ben Davies. He certainly gets there first. There looked to be contact to me. This might give us a better idea. Well, don't really see where that booking comes from. He gets his toe there, and he bumps into Tremmel. I thought he was going to point to the spot there, the ref, I really did. You could argue it's not a penalty. I don't think it is, actually, but I don't think it's a booking either. I don't think it was a dive.
Oh, that's a bad back pass again from Ivanovic, and he's in here, Danny Graham! 2-0, and 2 really bad mistakes from Chelsea, who have been the architects of their own downfall here. Graham making the most of the mistake, Chelsea in despair, and Swansea taking a significant step here towards a Wembley final.
Well, who knows, that mistake might be the vital difference. Hangs his head in shame. It was a blind pass. He didn't look. He didn't know who was behind him. And it's an absolute gift for Swansea and a gift for Danny Graham, and giving them a vital 2-goal lead. Will that be enough? Will that be enough? Chelsea thinking they got a penalty at the other end, and all of a sudden they're 2 goals down after a schoolboy error. He knows that's a big goal. Could be an extremely big goal.
Danny Graham scores for the 4th game in a row. And surely he won't be persuaded to leave South Wales in the transfer window now. Lampard helps it on. Bar! Offside! It won't count. The flag's up. Yet again, Chelsea in despair.
Well, he's been unlucky. He really has, but it's a fantastic take, you have to say, when Frank Lampard helped it on, and he's half an inch offside. He's desperately unlucky not to get the benefit there.
What an extraordinary finish to this match. Luiz has lost out to Key. Hernandez. Key under the watchful eye of Cesar Azpilicueta. Key.
Been an incredible match, hasn't it? Chelsea had so much of the play. They've ridden the luck, Swansea, but they have defended extremely well, as well, it has to be said at times here.
Well, the second leg coming up in Swansea in 2 weeks' time. Let's come back off Azpilicueta, who has to get it back to his goalkeeper hurriedly. Here's Hernandez. Swansea City have taken 2 giant strides towards a Wembley final after a couple of catastrophic errors from the Chelsea defender Branislav Ivanovic. Danny Graham buried the second in injury time to give Swansea 2 away goals. The first one scored by Michu, and a really healthy 2-0 lead to take it to the second leg of that semi-final. Chelsea will wonder how it's been happened. They will feel mugged by the side from South Wales because they had the majority of it. They might have had a penalty, they might even have had a goal, both through Demba Ba. He smiles now, but he must feel absolutely gutted that his cameo as a substitute didn't lead to one kind of breakthrough at least for Chelsea. But it's Swansea who are bathed in smiles because their game plan has worked to perfection. They soaked up everything thrown at them, broke out twice, a goal for Michu, a goal for Graham, and would you believe it, Chelsea 0, Swansea 2.
Rob, Alan, thank you very much. Goodness me, what an end to another extraordinary Capital One Cup game. The Swansea fans, Chris, they're going to have quite a journey back down the M4 this evening, aren't they?
I'm not sure they'll go back down. They'll probably have the night in London, probably. They'll be up the King's Road tonight. Amazing, really, yeah. To be fair to Chelsea, I mean, they made loads of chances. They played better on the night, and Swansea rolled their luck. 2 great finishes, 2 huge mistakes, unfortunately, by Ivanovic. An incredible result.
We talked about the Barcelona-Chelsea game in the Champions League. It felt a little bit like that tonight, Dennis, but against Chelsea.
Yeah, I think it was, at the end of the day. I think Chelsea played extremely well, had a lot of possession, created a lot of chances, But, at the end of the day, Swansea defended, you've got to give them credit. They defended fantastic as a team, as a group of players. They've stuck at it, they worked really hard for each other, and they've got a result. There's a fantastic result to take to their place,
Certainly is. Sets them up for the second legs, doesn't it?